what I'm trying to convey in this video is it's possible to make a lot of simple changes in day-to-day life right now that can have profound healing effects. And healing can be done exponentially faster than what I did. I was stumbling blindly along the way, but this to me shows the best ways that I can get across right now, changes that anyone can make, anyone and everyone that can begin their healing process no matter where they are, no matter what they're doing. Please feel free to share this. But I just want to share some of this. You can see right here, that's an important one, that immunizations 49, and that did a ton of damage to me. I didn't know at the time, of course, and I began just, this was the active problems here when I got out. Just, here's some of them. Sweating heavily at night, 23 June 2015. I won't read all the dates, but red blood in bowel movement, hypertension, systematic hemorrhoids, hyperlipidemia, blah, 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 joint pain. I had a bunch of joint pain. Joints were so damaged and calcified, and irritable bowel syndrome, that was ongoing. That was with the blood in the stool. That was years going, which is listed again somewhere else as colitis and all this other stuff. And then all the way back to 2006, adjustment disorder. This was after first deployment. Depression, adjustment disorder with depressed mood, adjustment disorder with anxiety and depressed mood, assessment of patient condition, work-related with attention deficit, hyperactivity. That was 2004. But anyway, it was a lot of other issues include, but not limited to, master-slave mentality, self-worship, other worship, technology used to irritate, manipulate, surveil, and subjugate, harmful chemicals, metals, preservatives, and more in processed food, drink, soaps, makeup, etc., fossil fuel hoax, constant false threats, and continued wars of aggression, depopulation, destruction, and reordering of society, according to Agenda 21 and Agenda 2030. And I want to cut right to what I did, what worked. It became like an all-encompassing, holistic, energetic way of looking at and appreciating life. That's why I had switched now fully to, and have been, to plant-based only. No dairy and no egg and no meat. And no GMOs, because the GMO food for as best as possible, because pretty much everything is genetically modified. Some of the stuff is very, very heavily genetically modified to the point to where a lot of it doesn't contain much in the way of nutrients and sustenance anymore either, just like the other weird created processed fake foods that's passed off as real food. So with some of those fruits and vegetables and plant-based things, still kind of got to watch, and because it just comes down to good fuel for the body and health, and not just physical but mental and spiritual health as well.
All right, so making cannabis coke, that's what you want. The more trichomes, the better the plant, the better. To give it the THC component, that comes with heat. Without the heat, were you to make this without this heating step, you can make your own CBD oil that does not have the psychoactive component or the feeling of being high, so to speak. After you do the cooking step, or do not do the cooking step, you want to add the cannabis to your coconut oil, whichever brand or version you'd like to use of it. With that, you want to add lectin. I use sunflower lectin in mine. The lectin, it makes the medicine much more absorbable by the body. By increasing the bioavailability, it increases the potency and the effectiveness of the oil by an order of magnitude. Machine to do it for me. When this whole process is complete, the material you have left over, medicine, it is medicine. That material you can add to baked goods. You can use this externally, topically, as in you can make balms, salves. You can use the oil itself, rub it right into skin, say cuts, scrapes, bruises, pulled muscles. Just massage it right into the skin. It will absorb in the skin. I pour a little bit throughout the day in my coffee. You can add the oil, of course, a little drizzle on salad. Add it to a pasta dish, however you want to consume it. A few drips around the tongue. I want to put this out so others can make it themselves, because consider, with what I showed, for the price of about, I want to say $25 to $30, let's call it, for the coconut oil and the lectin, which the lectin, that one bottle of lectin will last for many batches. It'll last. So say $25 to $30 is going to make, for me, this batch, 35 ounces. Compare that to the size bottles being sold and being marketed, and consider that. These are kind of things I think that need to get out fastest.
Health is dependent on diet. Plant-based consumption of vitamins, minerals, proteins, fats, and enzymes is true soul food, as it contains no dead sentient energy. I've lived in this manner for almost 3 years, haven't been to a doctor since, and have healed massive amounts of internal damage and ailments. I will never consume again the vast majority of the things I, quote, lived, end quote, on for 39 years. We've all been terribly deceived, poisoned, suppressed, and controlled for generations. And when you really realize what is doing it, is what we were programmed to believe and trust in, you see. You believe in government, religion, money, academia, banks, corporations, judicial systems, prisons, modern medicine as they stand and operate? You've been taught to worship its false authority, false hierarchical structure. You've been taught to strive to attain the different ranks, labels, and largely meaningless accolades. Here's the issue. What men, women, and children do within all those belief systems is exactly what's causing their and our enslavement. Life is much more profound than the normalized deception lets on. It starts and ends inside you. The toxins, yeah. The toxins that really prevent, for me, the toxins that prevented me were the massive amounts of vaccines I had been taking, the SSRI, the pills, the drugs, the mind-altering drugs for depression and this and that and the other. Those screwed me up so bad, my perception of reality. And then from then, looking back now, I see that all the chemical concoctions of toxins that are packaged as food and that are full of different metals, this and that and the other, the same metals we breathe in that are sprayed in the air, all those things, when they all combine and those metals seep through the blood-brain barrier into the brain, they do indeed affect the thoughts of the mind, because now the mind is scattered, because now the mind is surrounded by all these electromagnetic frequencies of things like these devices here that are emitting them right now as we speak. I don't write these things as some sort of narcissistic attention-seeking behavior or as a way to sound self-righteous. I only want to help folks heal from things they didn't realize were killing them.
Pushing through, the boys really didn't get to know their dad, and at the end of his career, he was a drunk lump. He didn't act crazy, he didn't do anything silly, he just sat on the chair and drank every night. That's all he did. He was a drunk lump. He played video games, he stared at the programming. I had back, spine problems, and listened to the doctors, and I was on medications that turned me into a zombie, I guess. Gabapentin, I was on morphine patches, I was on narcotics and an anti-nausea medication because the narcotics made me sick. I felt like I couldn't walk. I got to a point where I laid in bed all the time. My thyroid started to be dysfunctional from the Neurotins and all kinds of things I was taking.
The nerve burning?
I went through 4 or 5 nerve burning surgeries in my spine to burn away the nerves from the area that was affected by the degenerative disc disease. Cannabis cures that, by the way. I can do a back bend now. I'm physically fit, and I don't take any medications whatsoever for that. His drinking actually caused medical issues for him. He lost the lining of his stomach, esophagus, intestines completely gone. The lining was completely gone. He was on medications. They said he would be on for the rest of his life. He didn't care. He kept drinking. Broke my heart. It was horrible to watch. I probably said to him over and over again, I can't watch you kill yourself. And that's actually what he was doing. And his retirement was set to begin, and he was the drunken lump. Well, they lost his retirement packet quite a few times. It got misplaced somehow 6 different times. And a year and a half after he should have been retired, he was actually on the verge of a severe nervous breakdown, and he actually had it. The retirement was the last straw, and he wasn't changing. He was getting worse. Yeah, he was getting worse. It was the worst I've ever seen him. And not being abusive to any of us, just acting very frantic, paranoid, very psychotic. It was crazy. But once he stopped drinking and he stopped all of his medications at one time, everything, the antipsychotics, I really wondered, was it real? Was he being genuine? Was this just some kind of show? Was the cannabis making him act this way? I even called him a pothead quite a few times. I didn't understand the actual medical benefits that cannabis has as an actual medication that cures just about everything. All of our health problems started to disappear once we went plant-based. And I actually started using cannabis. He finally convinced me. I had an injury at a job. I was in a lot of pain, and that's when he convinced me to use the cannabis. He makes the oil, which is internal, which is totally different from smoking cannabis to get high. It is more of like a body relaxation, and it makes me sleep better than I've ever slept in my entire life. I sleep every night. I get up at 6 in the morning, and I feel like I'm 20 years old. It's amazing. So we have a healthy diet. All of my daughter's medical conditions have gone away. She was born premature. She had eczema. They said she had a weakened immune system. All of these things. Ron had cancerous polyps removed. So colon cancer stuff, heart disease, anxiety, all kinds of things. I had hyperthyroidism. There's just a long list. If I really dug out medical records, it would probably amaze people, the list of medical conditions, but all of which are
Regeneration of bone, nerves,
my
brain,
last MRI shows
tissues.
that I am gaining height in my L4, L5, which supposedly in the medical community is impossible, and that is because of cannabis. The
diet and probably
and the
a
diet,
combination.
yeah, a combination. We have not had cable TV in 5 years. We have a different lifestyle now. I'm grateful that we're healthy. Mentally, amazing. I don't even know what else to add, really. If there's stuff I've missed,
But we just want for others to be able to experience that. And that can only happen by coming to know these things that have happened to all of us. What? Yeah, because it's not about me, or it's not about us, and we're doing this because we want others to experience it too, and that can only happen if really there's really mass awareness gained out there. Yeah. All right then. Well, I appreciate anyone's kind attention that sat through this long, or any at all. Which, if you're already gone, you won't hear this, but we appreciate you. Thanks for listening. Feel free to share, do whatever you might like with it.
Thank you.
All right.